Tonight on the Vince Dow Show, Ron DeSantis is set to announce for president as soon as next week. We'll give you our thoughts on that front. Also, Ford, the company with the trucks is turning gay. We'll talk about that. And we got a lot of woke advertising to react to. And also, we got our new co-host who's making too much noise. Shh. We haven't introduced you yet. All right, but that's tonight on the Vince Dow Show. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. And we are live tonight from the great state of Florida. Welcome, everyone, to the Vince Dow Show. I am your host, Vince Dow. And before I begin, ladies and gentlemen, everyone be sure to leave a like right now on the stream and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We do the show live every Monday through Friday. Sorry, I have to make a text here to the co-host. Every Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So be sure to join us. He says he cannot hear me. I think that's on your end, dude, because my mic says it's like on. Like I see the levels to Zoom. So he might just have to refresh. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, as I've been talking about, my voice still sucks. I'm still not feeling that well. And so I'm trying to set up a co-host tonight so that way he can take some of the pressure off my voice here. But I don't know. We're still trying to work out as to whether or not he can hear me. You guys should be able to hear him on the other end. I think we should be good. But yeah, I don't know what's going on this front. Okay, so hold on, just give me a second. I'm just gonna mute his output until we get that sorted out. Okay, but as usual, chat, if you want to support the show tonight, feel free to do so via the Superchats. I'll be checking the Superchats regularly throughout the night. And also, as I've been talking about, we're trying to raise money right now for an actual podcast studio, so that way we don't have co-hosts who can't hear my audio or something going on, okay? So I know Abby Zhang just sent $25 to the studio fund, so thank you very much, Abby Zhang. And yeah, anyone who wants to donate either here or on Streamlabs, it's all greatly appreciated, guys. Really appreciate that very much. Sorry, this start's a little bit awkward. I'm just trying to get his tech to work here. Let me see. Let me see, chat. Okay, we might just have to go without the co-host. Are we just gonna have to wing it? I think we may have to. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. TJ, can you hear me? Studio flight, so thank you. Well, now I can hear myself on the other end. I don't know what's going on with TJ, but he can text me when we're ready. All right, he can text me when we're ready. TJ, you good? Hold on. Let's bring him in. Let's see. TJ, can you hear me? You can hear me.
I can't hear you.
He said he can't. Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you fine. I don't know what's going on with him. Check your speakers. Are your Well, I can't look. Okay, hold on. Are your speakers good? Okay, before anyone's like, this is so unprofessional. It was working right before the stream. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on right now, chat. Okay, I don't know what's happening. I have a feeling it's his speakers. Okay, listen, just give us a 1-minute intermission. If it's not working, then I'll just have to wing the show solo, and this whole idea was pointless. Yeah, we can hear you, TJ. We can all hear you fine. I think it's on your end that there's issues. I'm saying that as if he can hear. Hold on. Try headphones or something. I don't know. All right. I don't know what's going on, chat. I don't know what's going on. We don't care. Okay. All right. You know what, chat? This is a very unprofessional start to the show. I deeply apologize. I am just going to put TJ on mute. He can text me when it's working. All right. How's that sound? All right. Let's get into the show. Sorry for the start there, okay? So I'm just gonna leave him on. Once he figures out how to hear me, then we'll bring him in. All right, but with that said, ladies and gentlemen, it is the hour of Dow. Let's get into the show tonight. All right, well, we open today with our political story, which is the fact that Ron DeSantis is reportedly set to announce for president as early as next week. So there you have it, folks. It's officially happening. Some people were like, I don't think Ron DeSantis is actually going to run. Well, it is official here. As of most media reports, the announcement is coming next week. Yes, this date has moved several times. It could all be hearsay, but let's be honest. He's been traveling to Iowa. What does that mean? It means he's about to announce, okay? Now, with that said, I feel like it is time to do something that I have not done in a while, which is finally personally weigh in on the Trump-DeSantis debate. And you may be wondering why I haven't really talked about it as much as I used to, some of my very old OGs. He's texting me. Okay, now he says he can hear me. All right, apparently TJ can hear us now. All right, let's see. So you can hear us now? You're good? All right, now we can't hear him, though. TJ, we can't hear you now. I don't know what's happening. Okay, now we can hear you. Wait, we just heard you. Now we can't hear you. No, now we can't hear him. Chat, you guys can't hear him, right? I can't hear him either. All right, you know what? We're gonna figure this out after the next story. Okay, he can fiddle around with that. Hopefully, he gets it right. All right, as I was saying, okay. With that said, I feel like it's time to weigh in actually finally on the Trump-DeSantis debate. Now, the main reason the last few months I've not wanted to talk about this is because the discourse is so unbelievably toxic. You go on Twitter, and all you ever see when it comes to Trump DeSantis is a bunch of bad faith, frankly, very often leftist talking points. You get that a lot, right? People, both camps, it's a lot of paid chills on Twitter, and both sides are straight up, in many cases, using bad faith arguments, leftist arguments. And so for the reason that it's been so toxic on Twitter and whatnot, I have not really wanted to talk about the Trump DeSantis issue over the last few months. But then I also thought to myself, well, if you want the Trump DeSantis discussion to actually be more good faith, more reasonable, more logical, then I suppose I actually have to engage in it, right? I can't just sit out the discourse and expect it to improve. And so with this said, and with it kind of given that this is about to happen, let me just tell you once and for all, like very clearly, I know we've had other people explain it. Let me just tell you what I actually think about the Trump DeSantis debate. Now, right out front, without beating around the bush too much, I absolutely 100% prefer Donald Trump as a candidate over Ron DeSantis. 100%. Now, unlike some hardcore Trumpers out there, I will say this. I will say that I do not hate Ron DeSantis. I do not hate people who support Ron DeSantis. I am not one of these people. Before all the DeSantis people come at me saying, I go, no, which they always do. That's the state, again, of this discourse. Allow me to say, I do not hate people who support Ron DeSantis. And as a matter of fact, I think that what Ron DeSantis is doing at the statewide level, I know people are saying we can't hear. Yeah, I know. I don't know what's going on. Okay, anyways, I 100% think Ron DeSantis is a good governor. Okay, let me make that clear. I'm not one of these people who's going to go out there and say, well, Ron DeSantis should not be doing this, or Ron DeSantis should not be fighting Disney. But I will say that I prefer Donald Trump as a candidate currently. And let me kind of lay out the reasons why, because I know I've not talked about this very extensively. So let me tell you why I prefer Donald Trump over Ron DeSantis. And let me try to do so, again, without bringing up stupid, bad faith, or leftist talking points. Okay, well, I think in order to kind of start the debate, let's really first ask the question of what do we need from our candidate in 2024? Like, who do we want to kind of take the White House ideally? Well, the way I see it, 2024 is not just another presidential election year. The way I honestly see it, I think 2024 is going to be the last chance that we as conservatives have to truly retake the country on a national level. And that's not to say if we lose 2024 or, you know, if we get in office in 2024 and don't do exactly what we want, then just give up on politics. But it is to say, I think if we ever want to truly make America as a whole great again, if we ever want to truly retake and occupy the federal system, then I look at kind of the time we have on our side. it's not good, right? We have the demographic issue between immigration, between young people turning older and old people passing away, right? I think if we as conservatives do not take power in 2024 and truly upend things, truly go hard on the system, it's going to be too late. I think that's going to be the last window to do it at a national level. So with that said, I think that's reasonable enough to say that in 2024, we cannot just take a chance with some Republican who's probably going to have 4 years of decent policy, right? We truly need someone who is going to get in there, dark MAGA, whatever it is, go completely scorched earth on the political system. That's kind of our only option here, okay? Is my opinion. Now, with that said, I think that Donald Trump, as compared to Ron DeSantis, has a lot greater chance to do that. Now, you may say, but Vince, how do you know Trump's going to do that? Well, the answer is I don't. Yes, it is absolutely a possibility that Trump gets into office and first thing he does is immediately kind of rehashes all the same mistakes of the first term, and we basically get nothing of it. However, when I look at DeSantis versus Trump, I do think that of both candidates, Trump has a higher ceiling in that regard, right? I more so would expect for Trump to absolutely get in there because we know him, right? First of all, he's not particularly bought out by anyone. He can't be. He's wealthy, all that stuff. And that's always been the thing about him. Now, he can be manipulated, but the one thing he can't be is bought out, right? So that's number one. But then number two, I think because of everything that happened during Trump's first term with all the betrayals and especially the national security state's war that they waged against him, right? We know how that went. And that's a big thing, obviously, that we need from the next Republican candidate. We need someone who's going to truly go after the deep state, truly going to take down the federal bureaucracy. And don't get me wrong, there is a chance that maybe Ron DeSantis does that. But let's be completely honest. Yes, Ron DeSantis could get in and be a very solid conservative candidate. But really, how strong do you think the chances are that he completely goes scorched earth on the entire political system? Let's be realistic. Whereas Trump, I mean, we kind of know Trump's nature, right? He, let's be honest, is kind of a vindictive person, which is probably not the best personal quality necessarily to have. But in the sense of what we need for our country, again, let's be completely real. I think there is a non-zero chance that if Trump were inaugurated in 2025, he would completely want to just basically tear down the entire political system. And for the reasons I just explained, that's what we need, right? We need someone like that. We cannot just have kind of a solid, decent Republican president. Again, that is exactly what we need. And you may say this. You may say, but Vince, Ron DeSantis terraformed Florida. You might say, isn't he basically running Florida the way you would want the federal government ran? What exactly is the problem? What exactly is the big deal? And that's true, which is why, again, I say, is it possible that if Ron DeSantis got in power, he might do that too? Sure, right? And if he were the nominee, I would want to hope that that is what happens. But here's my thing, and here's the difference. Number one, Washington, D.C. is not Florida, right? It is a lot easier to kind of control and dominate a entirely Republican legislature at the state level as compared to Washington, D.C. That's number one. Number two, let me tell you, my real concern about Ron DeSantis is not Ron DeSantis himself. It's the type of people and the type of entities who are backing his campaign for president. Okay, so regardless of where he personally stands, chat, we can't deny this. What kind of are some of the main forces backing his candidacy? Well, there are good people out there who are doing it, sure. Like there are people out there who support DeSantis that I think ideologically are 100% there, but who's putting up the money? And who's kind of helping put up the money for him? Again, let's be real about this. It's the National Review. It's Club for Growth, right? It's groups like that. It's that sort of just neocon establishment that we don't like. Again, I'll get to Trump in a second. But my big concern with Ron DeSantis is that even if he is completely on our side ideologically deep down, what is going to happen on, January 21st, 2025? What's going to happen? What's going to happen is all of those DC organizations, your National Review types, your Club for Growth types, who, again, endorsed them because they did not want Trump and gave them all this money because they didn't want Trump. How does politics work? They're going to come back calling for political favors. That's what's going to happen. And so when it comes to that DeSantis White House, my big concern with this is, he's going to get in there and all of a sudden, all the people who backed his original first backers, who put up the money. Again, I'm not just talking about good people out there like, Matt Walsh, for instance. Matt Walsh is a DeSantis supporter. I would want Matt Walsh running the DeSantis White House. But Matt Walsh is not the type of guy putting up the money. Pedro Gonzalez, not the type of people, right? It's these sort of just big money Republican entities who just don't want Trump, right? And because DeSantis is not Donald Trump, because he's not this billionaire who's just totally uncontrollable and on his own and doesn't answer to anyone, because DeSantis is more so someone of just, Republican, he's kind of been built his whole life to just be your Republican politician. I don't really have a lot of faith that on January 21st, 2025, when Club for Growth comes calling and says, hey, I want this person to staff this position, that person to staff this position, this is going to be your chief of staff. I don't have strong faith that DeSantis can or just will be able to stand up and say no to that, right? Which is why I say, even as based as DeSantis has been on the state level, when I kind of look at the entities who are mainly backing him because they don't want Trump, right? When I look at the entities who are backing his presidential run for president, that's redundant, his presidential run, I'm just a little worried. Again, I'm not saying Ron DeSantis can't be a solid conservative president, but identifying that what we need in 2024 is some type of big time revolutionary who's truly going to tear down the system. I don't know if that's going to be Donald Trump, but I think Donald Trump has the greater chance because of everything we said, the fact that he doesn't have to get reelected, the fact that, he's vindictive about what happened the first time. I think Donald Trump has a greater chance to do that, right? And you might say, but Vince, if you want to talk about the people who are backing Donald Trump, there's bad people backing Donald Trump too. And that I would also agree with, right? Lindsey Graham, we're not a big fan, but Lindsey Graham obviously very, pro-Trump and all that, and a lot of other different people. I think that the difference there is that it's really an issue of who is going to be able to control the other, right? Donald Trump can stand up to Lindsey Graham when they're fighting or have disagreements and just stand up and say no. Whereas, again, with DeSantis, with the people putting money up, again, he's just a politician. He doesn't have all this kind of independence behind him. Is he, again, going to truly stand up and be able to just say no to that, right? So that's number one, okay? Again, to answer the question, but he's running Florida, how you would want the federal government ran. Again, true. But is he going to be able to run the federal government like that? That's number one. Now, secondly, I'll get to your super chats in a second, by the way, as I am seeing them. Don't worry. Secondly, let's talk about electability. This is inevitably what a lot of the DeSantis supporters are going to bring up. They're going to say, well, Donald Trump can't win. Ron DeSantis is the more electable candidate. Now, here's what I will say. Here's what I will concede to the DeSantis people. Under our old former political system, I would 100% agree with you, right? I think if this were still 2018 or even 2016 with that electoral system and, the candidates, this and that, I would actually agree with you. I think Ron DeSantis would be the more electable guy. Here's the thing, though. With the new electoral system post-COVID, and we kind of know how that system works, we talk about it all the time, I don't know if that's necessarily the case. Now, I will say this. I think if either candidate approaches the electoral system correctly, then either candidate can win. But I don't know if I necessarily say that Donald Trump is so much less electable than Ron DeSantis under the current political electoral system, and I'll tell you why. You threw out the word electability. I threw out the word turnout. Okay, you want to use your E word? I'll use my T word. Turnout, turnout, turnout. That is what elections now are about. Okay, now don't get me wrong. Before COVID, before all this early voting and mail-in voting and all that stuff, yes, the number one way you won elections is you went to the suburbs, you went to your political independence, and you tried to win over, change the hearts and minds, right? But as we see, as to how the political system works now, and the political machine, you could call it that, works now, what is it really about now, right? It's not about going to the suburbs and winning the independents. Actually, you look at suburban turnout in 2022, Republicans did quite well. But what it really is an issue of is you need to just get as many ballots as you can from your core base, right? And the Democrats have mastered that in this new system. They just go to all the natural demographic groups, right? And what do? Turn in your ballots, turnout, turnout, turnout. And the fundamental issue hurting Republicans right now is we don't have a turnout game like that, right? We don't have a turnout game like that. You look at a lot of the 2022 races, the issue is not that, Republicans' message wasn't hitting well with political independence. Again, we did pretty well in 2022 with that. The issue was rural turnout, especially, right? You look all around the country, that's what's really killing Republicans. It's not that we're turning off suburban women. It's that the rural areas are not turning out for Republicans the way the urban areas are turning out for Democrats, right? And so this is really how you win the system now. You just need to get as many ballots from your natural base as possible. And don't get me wrong. Can DeSantis do that? I think, again, if we approach this correctly, he probably can. I'm not sure, but what I will say is that, you want to talk about electability. We see repeatedly what has happened in these off-year elections when Donald Trump is not on the ballot. And what happens is rural turnout is just not there. It's just non-existent, right? I think, again, I'm not really saying this for sure, but I think there's a case to be made that in some ways, with the current electoral system, even though it might defy your logic in terms of what you know about elections or what you grew up knowing about elections, being moderate helps win the moderates, I actually think there's a case to be made that Donald Trump is more electable than Ron DeSantis because of that turnout thing, because he is going to turn out our base. And again, because that's how the system works now, you just need more ballots than the other side. It's not about changing hearts and minds. It's about turning out ballots from the other side. I genuinely think that there's, again, a case to be made that Trump actually can do a better job of this than Ron DeSantis, especially in a place like Wisconsin, especially in a place like Pennsylvania, right? Because it may very well be true that Ron DeSantis is more electable in Georgia, in Arizona, and kind of your Sunbelt states. But be honest, is he the type of guy who can go up to the Midwest and take legacy Democrat voters and turn them out and get them enthusiastic? That's the issue, right? And now you may say in response to that, you may say, but yes, Donald Trump turns out people for him and against him. And that's the counter argument, right? You say, yes, it is true. Donald Trump will turn out more Republican voters, but he'll also turn out more Democrat voters. To that, I say, again, you're thinking about this under the old system. Under the old system, that was true. Under the new system, again, Democrats already have this built-in advantage. And you're seeing that, right? It does not matter if it's enthusiastic or not. They just have their political machine set up so well that they will get the votes they need and they'll get the set number of votes anyway. So it's really a matter of how do we catch up to their political machine. And again, I'm not saying Ron DeSantis can't do it, but I do think that there's a case to be made that, again, under this new system where it's turnout, Donald Trump may do a better job at that. Regardless, if you want to say they're about the same, fine, give or take, whatever it is, but I just don't necessarily know if I believe that Ron DeSantis is so much more electable than Trump where that can be our only case for Ron DeSantis. Nor do I think that's impossible for Donald Trump to win again if we approach the political system correctly. Now, on the flip side, I'm not one of those Trump supporters who says Ron DeSantis has no chance. I do think it's going to be a struggle for him to go to a place like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, and get out the turnout he needs. But I'm not saying it's impossible either. I think if he has the right infrastructure set up, then that'll be fine too. But regardless, I feel like electability in many ways is something of a moot point because it's really not even about the candidate. They elected Joe Biden from the basement. John Fetterman is mentally retarded. It's not about that. It's just not about that at all, right? It is about how strong is your political machine. And if either candidate, Trump or DeSantis, can build a political machine, they'll be fine. So I think on either side, electability is not necessarily the best argument. But even so, I would say under the new electoral system, it may be true Trump is slightly more electable. I'm just saying, okay? Now, with that said, so there's kind of my twofold reasons, I suppose. We could get into more specifics, but my fundamental reasons, again, why I prefer Trump over DeSantis. Number one, I think it is more likely, I'm not saying it's impossible for DeSantis, but I think it's more likely that Donald Trump would sort of tear down the political system, again, like we need, than Ron DeSantis would. More likely. And secondly, on the electability argument, which the DeSantis people bring up so often, again, I don't know necessarily if DeSantis is more electable, even if we want to concede that he is. For the reasons we just explained, I don't know if that gap is so big that we can just say electability alone makes the case for DeSantis, right? You see what I'm saying? Because we could, on the flip side, say if Donald Trump has the right, again, political machine built behind him, then it'll all be fine either way. So that's sort of my take. That's why I prefer Trump as our candidate, at least currently, over Ron DeSantis. Now, I will say, in fairness to the DeSantis people, okay, again, want to make it clear, I'm not one of these paid shills by either campaign, whatever. I'll say a few things. Number one, to answer the question, does Ron DeSantis have a chance in this primary? I know a lot of Trump people are already writing him off. I think he absolutely has a shot. Now, is he going to start from behind? Sure. Is he kind of announcing currently because he wants his own poll numbers to boost a little bit because he's obviously, struggling a bit currently? Yes, that is true. But also things can change very quickly. Things can change very quickly. Trump can have some significant blunders that just open the race wide open for DeSantis. We see how very often in the span of a few months, at the start of this year, Trump looked pretty vulnerable. Now he's up so big. And so, I will say in fairness to the DeSantis people, I do think Ron DeSantis has a shot in this primary. It might currently be a long shot, but I'm not one of the Trump people who thinks there's no way or no reason DeSantis should even try. I understand why he's trying. And, secondly, let me even say this. I don't particularly hold it against Ron DeSantis for trying to throw his hat in the ring. Now, if it gets really nasty on the campaign trail, yeah, then that's not going to be a good thing. But, I understand why DeSantis is trying to announce. I wouldn't even hold it particularly against him, at least at the moment, right? I would consider him as a candidate for 2028. I'm not saying for sure 100% DeSantis for 2028 that I'm cool with it, because someone may come along who is better. But, this coming along, I don't think that it's impossible for him to try to primary Trump, fail to do that, and then run in 2028. I know a lot of people are saying it'll end his political career, but that's really a matter of how he handles it, in my opinion, because look at Ted Cruz. Okay, yeah, it is true that I don't think Ted Cruz is ever going to be able to be the Republican nominee, but that's also because Ted Cruz is just not the most charismatic. From a political perspective, I would argue he largely recovered, right? He's totally back. He never get ousted. He's, fairly popular, at least within certain Republican circles at the moment. And so I don't think that I'm not going to be totally right off DeSantis's political future because he's trying to run against Trump. It'll damage him, sure, but he could come back from it. But that's, again, the reasons why I support Trump as a candidate over DeSantis. Again, with that said, I do not particularly have anything against people who support DeSantis for good reasons, because I do think there are good reasons to support DeSantis. Now, if you're going to come and throw all these stupid leftist talking points about January 6th, Trump is mentally deranged, Stormy Daniels, then yeah, I'm going to roll my eyes and be like, you're just a bad faith actor. But if you have genuine reasons, such as, you feel like DeSantis is better on COVID policy, you feel like DeSantis succeeded in Florida where Trump fails in the national level, which again, I kind of explained why I don't necessarily agree with that, but I do think that's a good faith reason, that's a valid reason, then we're all good. I think we can have a reasonable discussion, and I don't hold anything against you for that. I would hope that other people in this movement who do support DeSantis and disagree would not just hate me forever because of it too. But yeah, I generally say that. I generally hope that our party can survive this discourse without being just totally consumed by it, which is, I look at the way it is right now on Twitter and stuff is a concerning possibility. But there it is. Yeah, there it is. I will say this. I genuinely thought for a while that the Trump DeSantis thing would actually be good for our party. It would be kind of like iron sharpening iron. We could kind of hash out these differences. But when I look at the way the discourse is going, and I haven't even looked at the live chat, we'll look in a second, I am genuinely just now kind of worried that it's just going to tear apart the party. But we'll see. We'll honestly see. But there it is. All right, let me check the super chats here because I know I missed a few. So here we go. Daniel McQuaid for $2.79 Canadian dollars says, yo, we are back. Let's go. Thank you for the $2.79, Daniel McQuaid. And Colton Smith for $27.99 Canadian. Let's go. Big donation from Colton Smith. Says, keep up the amazing work, Vince. Tried using Streamlabs, but it wouldn't work, and I don't have Venmo nor Cash App. Well, it's all good. Many such cases, okay? I know their thing doesn't always work. It's annoying. It's annoying. I might try to look at something else. But thank you for the $27.99 Canadian regardless. And he says, nonetheless, keep up the amazing content, but screw both candidates, Vince Dow for president. This is so true. This is so true. We are not Trump 2024. We are not DeSantis 2024. We are Vince Dow 2024. This is literally the case. This is literally the case. All right, let me see if anyone did manage to donate on Streamlabs, though. I don't want to miss that here. Okay, Burgundy Blue for $2 says, your analysis was quite balanced, Vince. Good stream. Well, I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it. I'm sure we're going to have the usual DeSantis crowd who's going to, you're so cringe, Vince. Why are you... But, I mean, honestly, I think I was pretty fair. Chat, was I pretty fair, right? Again, let me make that clear. I'm not going to name names, but I'm not one of these people who's going to go out there and say that Ron DeSantis is wrong about everything. And by the way, let me point this out, too. You're going to see a lot of attacks from the Trump camp today about this Disney thing. They're claiming, because basically what happened is Disney is, they were going to move something to Florida. They're going to move like a corporate office and open up a new park in Florida. And because of Ron DeSantis, they're now not doing that. And listen, I see a lot of Trump people and a lot of just anti-DeSantis people are saying, see, he's destroying his state, blah, blah, blah. And, for the record, I don't support that talking point. I actually think it's very good that I think it's good that Ron DeSantis is standing up against Disney. And that's something I support about Ron DeSantis, and I think is one of his strengths, right? As I think we are long past the time when we need Republicans to stand up to woke capital, and Ron DeSantis, to his credit, at least in Florida, has done that better than anyone. And so, let me say that too, because that was a news story today too. I'm not one of these people who's gonna go out there and just bash everything the guy does. You guys know this. I've praised Ron DeSantis vehemently, and if he were the nominee, would I be slightly disappointed? I suppose, because I preferred someone else. Sure, but I know some Trump people say they would boycott Ron. I would not boycott Ron. I think he is a decent candidate, right? I wouldn't say it's so over, I can't believe this. I mean, like I said, for certain reasons, I'd be mildly disappointed, but I'd still vote for Ron DeSantis. I would still go out and do that. And I can't say that about some other Republicans, to be honest with you. If Nikki Haley were the nominee, I probably wouldn't vote for her. If Mike Pence were the nominee, no, I just wouldn't do it. Chris Christie, I wouldn't do it. But for the record, Ron DeSantis does pass my litmus test. I don't think he's a neocon. I don't think anything. Again, I just think that for the reasons I laid out, I prefer Trump as the guy. But anyways, Loud Italian for $4.99 Canadian says, what about RFK Jr.? He's not a bad candidate for the Democrats. Thank you for the $5, Loud Italian. So I think that RFK Jr. is going to be a good force in kind of the general cultural Overton window, right? I think it's good that he's there. It's good that he's standing up to Biden from a more centrist perspective, or whatever you want to call it. The thing about RFK Jr., I don't think he's ever going to be taken seriously by the Democratic constituency. That's the issue. Thank you for the $5, by the way, which is his first super chat from Loud Italian. Let's go. But listen, I'm going to have to dispute that name. I'm the Loud Italian. I'm the Loud Quarter Italian. This is true. This is true. But let's be honest, too. RFK Jr. does not stand a chance in the Democratic primary, because what are they going to say? He might actually start to gain some momentum if he's just talking about kitchen table issues, running as the moderate, whatever. He might. But the moment he starts threatening Biden, if he ever gets there, what are they going to do? They're just going to pour a bunch of money saying he's an anti-vaxxer, he's a conservative, he's a right-winger, this, that, and the other. And, the Democrat voters, they're not exactly the biggest brain people. They're just going to eat it up. So that's what I'll say. I don't think he will really get all that far. Now, on the flip side, would I necessarily support RFK Jr.? See, it would not be the end of the world if he would be president, right? He would be a huge upgrade from Biden. But at the same time, it is important to note he is fairly liberal on a decent amount of issues. Now, he agrees with us on a lot of other important issues, and, he might be like Tulsi Gabbard, he might be a force for good in the sense that he stands up to the deep state. Who knows? Maybe in the next Republican administration, he has a spot specifically to do that, right? To take on the national security state. But overall, I don't know if I would get behind him as like my presidential candidate, right? But I don't have a lot against RFK Jr. I think it's good what he's doing. I think he's doing a good job maybe trying to push the Democrats a little bit to acknowledge some of their problems. Maybe he can create a headache for Biden. I don't know. Who knows? But I don't think he has a serious shot at anything beyond. I do think he's going to do better than some people give him credit for. I will say that, because I do think there are Democrat voters out there that are not happy with the direction of their party. But at the same time, like I said, the moment he starts to be a threat, what are they going to say? He's an anti-vaxxer. Boom. That's it. That's a death sentence in the Democrat primary. So that's kind of how I feel about it. But thank you for the $5, Loud Italian. Again, you guys want to donate tonight to support the show. Let me check really quickly. Let me see if TJ's audio is working now. If he's even still there. Is he even still in this? Let's see. TJ, are you there? Let's see. No, we still can't hear you. Oh, wait.
You guys hear me?
Yo, yes, we can hear you.
Good?
We're so back. Okay. Please welcome halfway
We're
into
back.
the show. I was the co-host we're gonna have tonight. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome TJ Gaffney. He is how do I describe? He's my unpaid assistant. All right, he's the assistant I don't pay. But if you guys would like to give TJ a salary, you can super chat the show tonight. But yeah, TJ, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm TJ Gaffney, Catholic conservative. That's pretty much how I describe myself, but glad to give you guys a good show.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was gonna bring him on just because like my voice is just strained, and I was gonna try to play off, and then I ended up doing like half the show without him. But he is here, so please welcome, folks, the co-host tonight, TJ. All right, TJ, any thoughts on the Trump DeSantis thing? I mean, I know I talked about it for about half an hour, but any thoughts?
Yeah, you're completely right. I mean, DeSantis is in fact a good candidate, but right now Trump is the guy. Trump is the guy who keeps going, and DeSantis is the guy who just the deep state.
All right, now he's cutting. Now he's cutting out, chat. Now he's cutting out. Okay, I think we generally got what he said though. Okay, but all right. Sorry, I missed your super chat. Okay. Small Graydon guy for $2.99. Sorry, I missed it. Says make sweet daddy Matt Walsh the theocratic fascist dictator. I'm down for that. Okay, well, let's just make Matt Walsh the American Caesar. 100%. Thank you for the $2. God bless you. God bless you. All right. Well, let's hope TJ's Wi-Fi connection makes it through the night. But thanks for the super chats, guys. Be sure to leave a like on the stream, by the way. Get us to 100 likes. Let's move on here. So we got a lot of woke advertising tonight to react to, and I couldn't really pick out one. I couldn't really pick out one, but let's just go in order. I'm sure you guys have seen this. So, Ford trucks, folks, are now gay. Okay? And, it really is a humiliation ritual when you consider it. The Ford Raptor, the F-150, these are icons of, like, American men, right? This is what your, small town holler boy, like, this is what it's all about, right? This is a icon of masculinity. Well, as you may have seen, the Ford truck is now gay. I'm not going to play the commercial itself because it's probably going to get copyrighted, but I did see this promo about the commercial. So let's take a look here.
My Instagram name is literally the world's strongest gay. So I put it out there really as a reminder to people that sexuality has no bearing on things you can achieve in life. Seeing the very gay Raptor in person and what Ford is honestly doing is one of the coolest things we've seen from a global brand like this. I think during Pride Month, especially in June, a lot of companies show their pride, but it's what...
Look at this. Look at the rainbow F-150. I just... Come on. Like, could you pick any... Now, I will say I'm not a big truck guy. I prefer the Mustang from Ford. So they have not brutalized my preference yet. But I mean still, all right? I still feel a strong degree of sympathy. They couldn't take the what does Ford have? The Cruise is that Chevy Cruise? I don't know, but this of all cars.
What do they do outside of those other 11 months of the year?
Brutal.
I think the biggest thing I want people to realize from this is once you accept yourself from who you are, that really anything is possible.
Okay, they might be copyrighted, but let me just this is from the commercial here. All right, so they have like this mud, it's driving through the mud, and then it gets washed off, and it's gay. It's a gay Ford. Okay, chat. TJ, any thoughts?
Yeah, the highest grossing movie last year was Top Gun, and that was the most pro-American movie we had in 20
All right, he's cutting out. He's cutting out. I don't know what's going on. All right, try just turning off your camera. Let's see if that works better. Let's see if that works better. Here, just do audio.
Sure.
All right, see if that works better.
Is it better?
Yeah.
Working?
Yeah, it's working.
Okay.
All right.
So my general thoughts were Top Gun was the highest grossing movie last year for a reason. It's the most patriotic movie that we've seen in probably 10 plus years.
True.
And all these other movies, like I know Pixar came out with the lesbian kiss scene in one movie and all these things. Go woke, go broke is a real thing. And it's been playing out on the national stage for a few years now. It's true.
But see, here's I tend to agree with you, but then I'm baffled by why do they keep doing this? Because on one hand, it could just be sheer incompetence, right? They diversity hire some stupid marketing VP like Bud Light, and this just happens. But to some extent, how, these are like business geniuses who run huge corporations. How can they really be that stupid? Like, how can you be so stupid as to think this is going to work? So I've talked about this before on the channel. I think what this is really about is the ESG thing, right? Which I'd be curious to see how many shares of so-and-so company that's doing this does BlackRock own? Because I think what they're really going to realize is economic favor, and this is what they're trying to do, in my opinion. You look at sort of the future of the economy, favoritism from the federal government, from investors, from big firms like BlackRock that will throw a bunch of money at your company or buy shares by influence. I think that being woke, quote unquote, right, raising that score is kind of where these companies see a lot of money coming in, and that has to be the reason, right? I don't know, or do you think it's just sheer incompetence, like they're that stupid?
Well, I mean, you see the protests that these people launch on people like Matt Walsh or Michael Knowles. Mm-hmm. The mob is a real thing. Cancel culture is a real thing. And even though they know that the conservatives will sometimes boycott them, the Democrats and the liberals are better at this. They are better at boycotts. They're better at cancellations. And this is why.
I will say that. I think under Trump, we had a lot of failed boycotts. Remember, everyone said, we're going to take down Nike. We're going to take down the NFL. They're doing fine. But the last few years, I've noticed we're getting better at it. But continue. That could be another thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting better, but we're still not nearly at the level that they are. They're willing to cancel people even on their own side. I don't know if you remember that clip of the TikTok kid that Biden hired. You played it on your show a few weeks ago, where he's like, "Oh no, don't clip this, don't clip this." Yeah. Harry. Yeah, they are so just in their own echo chamber that they're not willing to hear anything outside of it, which is why they're willing to do these things with the Ford trucks going gay, with Pixar showing a lesbian kiss and their not so gay agenda. They're willing to do this because of their own echo chamber and because they, quite frankly, don't care about the business anymore. They don't.
That could be another one, right? It's literal sabotage. They're there to sabotage. All right, we got another one here. Here's so this is another one being brought up. This was actually before the Dylan Mulvaney thing, but at Bud Light, but not a lot of people realize. Now people are starting to notice. Here's Miller Lite explaining why beer is actually for girl bosses. Here we go.
Here's a little known fact. Women were among the very first to brew beer ever. From Mesopotamia to the Middle Ages to colonial America, women were the ones doing the brewing. Centuries later, how did the industry pay homage to the founding mothers of beer? They put us in bikinis. Wow.
Wait, I thought that was liberating, though. I thought that was empowering. That's body positivity. Why are you so mad?
Yeah. And
look at this wild. It's time beer made it up to women. So today, Miller Lite is on a mission to clean up not just their the whole beer industry's Miller Lite has been scouring the internet for all this and buying it back so that they can turn it into good for women brewers.
Dude, it's like women don't like beer. You know, no matter how hard you try to make women drink beer, they just don't like it. And honestly, maybe woman W there, because I think beer is disgusting, but still, you're not going to get girls to like Bud Light or Miller Lite or whatever. You know, that's not...
Literally, good How, you ask?
Yeah, it's just not their audience. They're targeting the wrong audience. They continue to target the wrong audience because of these ESG scores, because of what BlackRock does.
Yeah.
They're targeting the diversities. And it's not working for them. It's clearly not. Bud Light sales are still down 30%, going lower. And Miller Lite's going to see a similar dip if they continue to do this.
Take it away.
First, we turn the bad into compost. Then we feed compost to worms. Push out beautiful fertilizer. That good helps farmers grow quality hops.
Empowering, but they're saying that it's not. It's very hypocritical, obviously, but...
which is then donated to
type of audience.
Women brewers to make their own really good
But there's definitely more out there. In your attic, in the garage, in your parents' basement. Send any you got into Miller Lite, and they'll turn that into good too. Oh. So here's to women, because without us, there would be no beer.
It's kind of funny how they also admit their product is recycled feces.
Yeah. That really makes everybody just want to buy.
Yeah.
That's what's going to make everybody buy. Support companies that don't hate you.
Yeah.
Be the number one advice out of all this. Don't support these companies that hate you. Because if you continue to give them your money, you continue to fund these campaigns against everything that you believe in.
Brian E says woman cussing is repulsive. I mean, I would tend to agree. Yeah. But don't you know, Brian E, don't you know, okay? They are queens. They are girl bosses. How dare you? No, but this is true. All right, we got one last one, and then we'll kind of do some analysis here. But all right, we've watched some ones from private companies, and you're thinking, oh, but they're private companies. They can do whatever they want. All right, chat. This next one we're gonna watch is a commercial from the U.S. State Department. I'm not joking about that, okay? No, it's PSYOP. No. This is straight from the U.S. State Department, okay? So this is what the United States is projecting to the entire world. Take a look. Take a look, folks. So you wonder why, America's adversaries seem to be taking advantage of us geopolitically at the moment. You know, why Russia invades Ukraine, why China is encroaching on other places. And then you wonder, number two, why the Middle Eastern countries, for a few years now, have referred to the United States as the Great Satan or the Great Shaitan or whatever that they do in Islam. You know, I have to say, this may be something some conservatives are not prepared to recognize, but, to a degree, I understand why the Middle East views us as the Great Satan, why they view the United States as being like the satanic force in the world. Obviously, they're Muslim, I'm a Christian, but like the same theme, I fundamentally understand why they feel that way, because honestly, I look at not our country, I think our country, a lot of good people, but also a lot of people who support this and vote for this, obviously. But especially our regime, the American regime, they really are an agent of Satan, and that's what they project to the world. But I don't know, TJ, your thoughts?
Yeah, McCarthy was definitely right about the State Department.
Yeah.
These are the type of things that we've been getting from the State Department for years now. And, you can't just boil it down to ESG or diversity with them. They continue to do things like this. They've been doing this, and this is why we are frowned upon in the world. This is why Putin says things like, I want to rid my nation of the evil that America brings. We are not always the good guys in these wars. We're not.
I think that's a big part of maturing politically as a conservative, because, you start off, I think when everyone first gets red-pilled, they think to themselves, oh, well, America is so virtuous and we're right about everything, and the Toby Keith song and all this stuff, which is a good song, don't get me wrong. But, you know, over time, you start to recognize not that we're unpatriotic. We love this country, you know, we love what it kind of was built to stand for. But you have to recognize to a degree what we project, especially as a government, as a regime around the world, is actually quite evil and quite sinister, right? And that's not an endorsement of who we fight in the Middle East or Russia or China or anything else. It's just to say that, like, what this regime is projecting around the world, can we really stand there and morally claim superiority over a whole lot around the rest of the world? And I don't think that's the case, right? I don't think that's the case.
No, we can't. What we represent on the world stage is not what we used to represent. What we now represent is pride flags. That is what we have come to represent. And it used to be the United States. It used to be patriotism, Christianity, nationalism. That's no longer what we represent anymore. And I think if we get a Republican back in the White House and we get a conservative, it'll get better. Can't say it'll be 100%, but that will improve.
It'll get better, but I think unless they, like, kind of relates to the opening segment, unless we use that White House to really rid the State Department of this nonsense, they may tone it down for 4 years or whatever to just not get people fired. It's going to come right back, right? We agree it's going to come right back. All right, Burgundy Blue for $2 says, dies of cringe and it ain't even June yet. It's true, it ain't even June yet, but it's coming. How far away are we from June? Like 12 days, 13 days? How many days are there in May?
Yes,
30? 12?
31, I think.
30. Okay, I don't even know, but yes, we are nearing. Okay, so be sure to join us on the show in June. It's gonna be quite fun, chat. All right, Daniel McQuaid for $6.99 Canadian dollars says, "Go woke, go broke is a conservative cope. Bud Light is one of the only successful boycotts we've had. Most are very liberal in their promotions." Thank you for the $6.99 Canadian. So I think yes and no. For years it was a cope. And it still kind of is, because even when they lose money, what's going to happen? ESG, BlackRock will say, don't worry about it. Here's your money. But I do think the last few years, we've seen some decently effective boycotts. I don't think Bud Light's the only one. I would say that Netflix, with the Cleopatra movie, for instance, you know, they turned Cleopatra black and Jada Smith is like, why is no one watching the movie? There's some, I think there's some in entertainment that are also successful when they try to make a movie super duper diversity, wokeness, or whatever, and it just totally crashes and burns. So I do think there are other examples, but yeah, Daniel McQuaid, I would generally agree with you. Most of the time, it does not actually work. And like I said, the real problem is BlackRock and ESG, and to an extent, the federal government, right? That's the thing. Every time they go woke and go broke, what's going to happen? They're going to be bailed out by the woke capital backing them up, and that's the problem with these financial systems, which is why I would say, you know, I think the next Republican president needs to be, even if it's not free market or whatever, well, it's not free market for BlackRock to own the economy either, is it? I think the next Republican president definitely has to figure out a plan to fight against this stuff. And, you know, on top of that, if that's not going to work, then I don't know how you do it, but we conservatives, we got to find a way to get rich. If there's woke capital, there needs to be anti-woke capital, and you know, to buy influence, buy power. I don't know, TJ, what did you think?
Yeah, I agree. And I agree. Go woke, go broke used to be a cope when we didn't wield power well, but with the rise of people like Ron DeSantis, with Trump's success in the White House, I feel like go woke, go broke is no longer a cope. I don't know if you remember, but the Democrats tried boycotting Goya a few years ago in 2019, I believe. And AOC was really behind this boycott Goya campaign, and Goya's sales ended up skyrocketing. And that's because now that we are starting to wield power, now that we are starting to, I guess, grow a pair, conservatives are starting to succeed more.
Yeah, I think it's getting better, but we still have a lot of work to do, obviously, right?
We do.
Yeah. All right, Rowley Gonzalez for $1.99. Thank you, Rowley, and thank you, Daniel McQuaid says, woman making beer is not a flex. Stay sober, 07. Hey, Rowley, don't you know? It's empowering for a woman to cuss and drink Miller Lite. How sexist, Rowley. Thank you for the $1.99. Daniel McQuaid for $2.79 Canadian says the Western liberal empire is spreading evil. 100%. 100%. Thank you for the $2.79 Canadian. And did I thank Abby for the Cash App yet? If I did not, Abby, she sends $25 for the studio fund. I believe that's what she sent from what I saw earlier. Yes, she says for studio. Thank you for the 25, Abby Zhang. Appreciate it. And yeah, the studio will be... See, when we have the studio, this won't be an issue. His bad internet, so-and-so's bad internet, it's not going to matter because we'll be here. Oh, I did not mean to do that. We will be here. So it is real and true. Thank you for the $25, Abby. And like I said, we're working on it. All right, we got the first 2 microphones. We need like 2 more. And then we need our backdrops and stuff and a light. We're going to need another light. But it's coming along. All right. I have the table and stuff, so we're moving there. We're moving there for sure. Aaron M says Trump sold LGBT merchandise. How come there was no boycott? Well, that's a good point, and that's a criticism I have of Trump is that he is I definitely would not call him a very staunch social conservative, but I do think overall his movement or the seeds of his movement, at least in some regards, tend to be better for socially conservative ends. But you do bring up a valid point. All right. Dollar for $2 says thoughts on turtleneck sweaters. TJ, you want to go first?
Yeah. Okay, this is going to be an unpopular opinion in conservative spaces, but turtleneck sweaters are great. Okay. Michigan, Wisconsin, our base turtleneck sweaters are great.
I'm generally against turtlenecks. I don't think I would ever wear one, but I will say I think that on certain guys it can work. But that's the thing is like on any guy, if you're enough of a Chad, you can pull it off, right? Like if you looked at, let's just say, if you looked at Dwayne Johnson wearing a turtleneck, would you be like, oh, that's so gay, he's wearing a turtleneck? Or would you be like, I can't talk, that's Dwayne. Actually, he did. He used to wear a turtleneck. Have you seen that picture, right?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
So, but I don't think I could pull off a turtleneck. I don't think I'm that big enough yet. But yeah, I mean,
you never know with 400 push-ups a day.
I would say I'm generally anti-turtleneck, but I think certain guys can pull it off. Loud Italian for $1.99 says Z. I'm gonna pretend like I don't know what that means. Thank you for the $1.99, Loud Italian. Appreciate it very much. Neil says, what is your opinion of Senator Rick Scott? I mean, I think Rick Scott's fairly average, but as an alternative to McConnell, I think he'd be very much better, right? Because if you actually look at his voting record, I forgot the number and who scorecarded it, but I remember hearing his voting record is kind of in the top 20% or so of the Senate GOP, which maybe says a lot about the Senate GOP that they suck so bad, but I think if he were to be in leadership, it would be a big upgrade from McConnell. Because to an extent, you have to recognize too, yes, it would be ideal to have Josh Hawley or like JD Vance in leadership, but also realistically, that's not how it works. You need someone who's kind of in the middle of the party. You know what I mean? So that's how I view Rick Scott. He certainly is kind of establishment. He is fairly average, but I think he'd be a huge upgrade from McConnell is what I will say. So from the perspective that he ideally is kind of setting up to take that position eventually, I'm pro Rick Scott. Do I think he's the best senator? No, but I also understand, and I think I kind of respect him for his purpose is what I would say. Dollar for $1.99 says, I started taking creatine. Check out Swole Normus. Thank you for the dollar for dollar. Yeah, I mean, just be careful with too much creatine. Okay, it's probably not good for your liver, but thank you for if it helps you, I mean, you go for it. All right, let's see. Well, we're at 1 hour. We could just do super chats for like 20 or so minutes and then call it a night here, because I ended up talking about Ron DeSantis for a whole 30 minutes. That was crazy. TJ, any thoughts on your mind today?
Sure. I think your take on RFK was pretty good. He had a good tweet the other day about right now. Well, he doesn't say this as a conservative. He's not conservative, but he said that we don't watch the news in his household. He doesn't watch the news to understand what's going on in the world, but rather to understand the official narrative. That's a good way to look at the news as a conservative. Even if he doesn't agree with us on everything, he does have some good takes here and there, and he is moving the Overton window in a direction that we should support as conservatives.
I don't think it would.
RFK in the primary.
I don't think it would ever happen, but I think he would be a great VP for Trump, you know, and he would be someone that I think could actually help bring some voters over, right? Because, you know, some people say he should pick Carrie Lake or Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I look at that. I like both of those people, but are you really gonna be expanding the Republican electorate a whole lot? Whereas look at RFK. You know, you could say it's something of a unity ticket, but also that Kennedy name is very powerful. I think it genuinely could have some populist appeal. I think he'd be a better VP pick than some of these people being proposed, like Elise Stefanik. Shoot, it'd be a lot better than Nikki Haley. You want to talk about winning over independents or whatever. RFK, the name especially, just the Kennedy name, that's going to go a lot further in suburbs and moderate Democrats than freaking, I don't know, Nikki Haley ever would. So
yeah, and Nikki Haley's just the Republican Party's version of a diversity hire. She's horrible.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, she's horrible. And Carrie Lake, I mean, policy is generally good, generally sound on everything, but she does not excite the people that we need to excite. And we know that Trump's base is going to show up in 2024. What we need to get we really need some of the rhinos. We need some of the kind of centrist people on our side if we want to win. Because last time those people supported, Biden, and we all know how that ended up. So realistically, RFK would be a good pick. I just don't think he'd be willing to do it. I think Tulsi Gabbard would be a good pick as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that who Trump chooses as the VP has to supplement his weaknesses, right? Not his strengths. And so, because a lot of people, when they look at the presidential ticket, they just want to see like the best names on there as possible. And that's really not the way to look at it, because the VP doesn't actually do anything, right? It's a fairly meaningless role. The whole point of your running mate is to have someone who can unite the party or go for something that you're weak in or whatever. And so, I mean, I would tend to agree, but I think if he wants to go for a unity ticket of some sort or some type of, you know, ticket like that, I would say either just choose DeSantis, which I don't know if he still can because he'd have to change residency or whatever. Either just choose DeSantis if that's still possible legally. I don't know if it is, but because I think that after a very divisive primary, it might be a smart move. And if not that, then I mean, there's other candidates to pick, whether that's Republicans or go left field, someone like RFK. But I think it'd be a big mistake to choose just a total neocon and think that's going to unite, because the neocons don't excite anyone. They don't excite suburbanites. They don't excite Republicans. It would just overall just not do much. But yeah. All right, let's see.
Overall, he needs to pick somebody who's closer to the middle than Carrie Lake.
Yeah, for VP, I would agree. Dollar for $2 says thoughts on Ron and Rand. Met them with Huffines. I like. Okay. TJ. You guys say I have boomer tech. Okay, they always say, Vince, your internet sucks. Vince, listen. It could be a lot worse.
It could be a lot worse.
It could be a lot worse. This is true. Anyways, thoughts on Ron and Rand Paul. You know, I think in many ways what Ron Paul started is kind of an extension of where we are in a certain way, right? I think that he was the first guy who tried to stand up to the neocons. And actually, that's not true, because Pat Buchanan came before him. I should give credit there. But, okay. But anyways, that whole thing was dead for a while, right? I think Ron Paul, and kind of, you could argue he's like the father of the Tea Party, you could argue, right? I think that was the first sort of mass stand since Buchanan against the Republican establishment. And so while I don't entirely agree with the libertarians on everything, although I do think Ron Paul is fairly solid on at least a decent number of issues, I have nothing but respect and you know, reverence for a guy. That's a fine term, right? Okay, respect for a term for a guy like a Ron Paul, and also a Rand Paul, because I think we mutually are trying to do the same thing. I think we're trying to stand up to Republican power, stand up to Republican establishment. And you could argue that what Ron Paul started with the Tea Party was something of a populist movement too. And so, I view someone like Ron Paul as kind of a godfather to what we are trying to do, even though I'm not a libertarian. I think the spirit, right? And then Rand Paul, someone currently is someone I would argue is like an ally. So yeah, I mean, I like them both. Met them with Huffines. We loved on Huffines, obviously. And, I will say, I think I have more favorable views of some libertarians now than I used to. It's not that I really, I think we have our differences, but I see the ways that we could work together with someone like a Ron Paul. I don't say that about, these libertarian party types who are like, oh, well, let's smoke weed and be gay. And I'm just cringe, right? But with the conservatarian types, I think we can mutually work together, especially to take down the deep state, rid the bureaucracy, fight against federal power. And so, yeah, I mean, I like Ron Paul. I respect him. Zachary for $2 says, do you think Rand Paul would be a great running mate? I don't think so, because I don't think that libertarians are a big enough force in this country to really make a difference, Because again, you have to ask, who does Rand Paul really appeal to? That's not part of Trump's core base. And yes, there are like 1% of people in the country who are hardcore libertarians, and they'll say, Trump banned bump stocks, Trump grew the government and all that stuff. But the reality is, I don't think they're a big enough force in the electorate where we need them to be for Rand Paul to be a big difference. And so, and then outside of that, does Rand Paul really appeal to the middle, to the independents? I don't really think so. I think he really appeals to the libertarians. And the libertarians, especially in 2023, I think are a dead force in American politics for the most part. And those that are already there, would Rand Paul make a huge difference? Probably not. So, I don't think he's first choice. He's first choice. I like Rand Paul a lot. I just don't think strategically he would be the best running mate. But thank you for the $2, Zachary. Again, guys, you want to super chat the show? We got the Streamlabs. We got here on YouTube. I'll read them we'll go to like 9:20 tonight. Okay, so last call, last 13 minutes here. Any questions or comments you want read or answered, so we can actually put TJ on salary and stop his boomer internet. That would all be greatly appreciated. Let me see if we got anything on Streamlabs, which I don't think we did. Okay, all right. TJ, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. Here.
All right, awesome.
You guys hear me?
Yeah. What was that?
I don't know. It just still lagging.
No, we heard a loud beep. It was like, true.
Really?
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah. I mean, I thought bringing on the co-host chat would reduce the number of issues. But we got the Boomer Tech. But would it be a VinceDao show without Boomer Tech? I don't think it would. Could you imagine if everything flowed correctly on the show and everything was like professional? Would it really be me? I don't think it would.
The live setting will be good. We'll be able to get everything going.
Yeah, for sure. Chesscob Support says, I can understand Massey endorsing DeSantis, though, given Trump's attacks on Massey during the early days of COVID. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I think some of these endorsements, you just endorse Trump, do you endorse DeSantis? I think with a lot of politicians especially, it's a power thing, right? It's really what it is you're betting on one of these candidates, and you're betting that they're going to win, and then you're going to have power or some type of leverage within their White House. I think that's what it's really about for some of these people. So I think someone like a Lindsey Graham, is he excited about Trump as a person? I don't really think so. I think he just sees he's betting on Trump again to win the primary, and then he thinks he can hopefully buy some leverage in the Trump White House. My hope with someone like a Lindsey Graham is Trump second time around, once he wins, kicks him out the door. It's like, nope, don't care, right? Which I'm not saying that will happen, but it can happen. Do we agree, chat? I think it can happen. Whereas will Ron DeSantis kick? I'm not saying Thomas Massey is a bad actor, but on someone like a Club for Growth or a Jeb Bush, whoever, is Ron DeSantis really going to stand up and say no to the people who helped him along the way? That are the people we don't like? I don't know, chat. True American says, thoughts on a Trump DAO 24 ticket. I think this is a you know, I nominate myself, Trump. Yeah, you need a running mate. Let's do it. All right, Daniel McQuaid for $6.99 Canadian says Canada regulates the use of plastic straws, yet allows the slaughter of children in the womb up until birth without restriction. Sad. So true, Daniel McQuaid for $6.99, but obviously, you know, that's our world now. Plastic straws are more important than you know, baby lives. It's so true. It is very true. Homer for 20,000 dong says video reaction links. I'll check it after. I'll check it after the stream. But you know, our text situation here is already so fragile. I don't know if I want to add a video to it, but I will check it. I'll check it out for you for sure. Thank you, Homer, for the 20,000 dongs, which does not sound right, but it's a Vietnamese currency. Okay, it's the currency in Vietnam. All right. Don't be saying some weird stuff in the chat. I don't want to see it. All right, let's see what else. What do you think about Larry Elder for president? I mean, I just don't think he's all that serious or viable of a candidate. I like Larry Elder. He's a cool guy, obviously. But, I mean, is the campaign really going to go anywhere? Is it even going to... I mean, he might not even make the debate stage, if we'll be totally honest. Maybe. We'll see. So I don't have anything against Larry Elder, but I don't think it, you know, he is all that big and serious of a candidate there. Okay, let's see what else we got. Talks with Kenny says, what do you think of Vivek? Vivek would be the ideal candidate from an idealist standpoint. He would be your ideal candidate. I mean, I've heard he's a little bit squishy on immigration. Now, I've still yet to verify that or not. But most of what I've seen from Vivek, yes, is good. I think he's, and I think his role too is very important because we know what he's really running for. He's not running for the nomination. He's really running to be like Trump's press secretary or something along those lines. And the type of ideas he's throwing out, as controversial, quote unquote, to mainstream as some of them are, I think he's just trying to push the window of discussion in conservative circles as like this mainstream Republican candidate. And so, yeah, I like Vivek. I think is it Vivek or Vivek? I don't even know how to say it. But
Vivek.
Vivek?
That's how Michael Knowles has been saying it. I don't know if he's right. He's been saying Vivek, and he's close to him. So
you know that's part of the issue. It's hard to get elected in this country with that name. Which I'm not saying that to be, you know. I'm just saying, you know, it's like it's a social thing, and it's true. A name you don't see a lot, and it's very foreign and confusing. It's like, you know, I say that as someone with, you know, ethnic last names, but I'm just saying, you know, there's a reason Nikki Haley changed it, but yeah, it is true. He would I like I said, I think he's doing a good job contributing to the Overton window for sure. Abby for $20, thank you very much, says go eat some lemons. Lemons will help with your sinuses. You know, I had soup today and I put like 2 whole lemons in it. I squeezed 2 whole lemons into it, so we're doing a little bit better. But yeah, I hate being congested. I sound like a nerd. I'm literally like what I make fun. Hi guys. It's Vince Dow here. So true. So true. Lemon. Let's go. Highly recommend Avida tea. Helps soothe the throat and tastes great. I don't even know what that is. You know, that's part of my problem. I'd probably get sick less if I actually had a immune system plan, but I don't. I very rarely take medicine. I just kind of sit there and take it. TJ, you're the same way. Like when I'm sick, I guess because partly, you know, I used to live at home and now I don't, and so, you know, I guess that's what moms are for. Oh, take this, take that. But like ever since I live by myself, when I'm sick, I'm just like, I just sit there and suffer. I'm like, no joke. I just sit there and suffer. Very rarely do I ever take anything besides maybe some soup.
Yeah, just let it go away. Let it go away in a week. It'll be gone.
Yeah, I mean that's how men deal with our problems. We just sit there and take it. This is true. Still sick, take a vitamin. See, Omar, that would make too much sense. That would just make way too much sense. I just sit there and suffer. That's what I do every time I'm sick. Joshua says TJ is allergic to peanut butter. Is this true? You have a peanut
This is
allergy?
true. This is true. We had an incident in December. This is true.
It's so over. You peanut allergic kids. Wow.
I know.
How allergic
I
are
know.
you? Are you like super allergic? Mildly allergic?
No, I ingested it. If I ingest it, I have a really bad reaction. So I'm kind of on the middle scale. I'm not too bad, but if I ingest it, I go crazy.
Well, that means if you just like smell it, then no.
No. If I like eat it, like if it goes into my like digestive
okay.
system.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. So it's not that bad, but he's right. He's right.
You hear
No.
that, chat? So when he comes in the studio, we might need to have some EpiPens on hand. Is that allowed? Because it might be an accidental peanut on the table. All of a sudden, it flicks and flies into his mouth when I'm doing hand gestures, and that would not be good. Loud
If that quarter
Italian.
Italian goes too far.
Real. Loud Italian for $4.99 says, I like DeSantis, but he is very anti-China. He has expressed multiple times a hardcore stance against China. He's a neutral stance with Russia, though. I mean, I don't really have an issue with that. I mean, you know, yes, there are some neocons who want to just basically go to war with China, but I also think from an economic standpoint, it is important just from a geopolitical perspective to divest from the Chinese as a geopolitical rival. So I wouldn't really hold that necessarily against them, but I do think very often that Republicans use sort of opposition to China as a cope to not look internally to certain problems. I'll give an example of that. Let's just say something like social media, right? TikTok, yeah, hacking, whatever. Yeah, I get why they're against it. But then do certain Republicans say anything about censorship of big tech by American companies or by big tech by American companies? No. Do they talk about do they talk about the way American companies also harvest data and all that stuff? I mean, absolutely not. Or they'll say, well, look at China. They're so authoritarian, this and that, which they are, sure. But then simultaneously, pretend like America these days is such the land of the free. And so, I mean, I understand from that perspective, but I do, though, think that I don't think there's a problem with being anti-China from a geopolitical perspective. I think that's practical. Now, I do think in terms of the Russia question, it would have been a lot smarter, frankly, to rift. And this should have been done decades ago, but to try to remain on friendly terms with them, to sort of rift them away from China. I've said that for a while. That should have been the approach. But obviously we've driven them into their little axis there, and now they're kind of causing problems. But yeah. All right, 279 Canadian from Daniel McQuaid says, when you get sick, do more push-ups. Easy. I've been trying, Daniel. I've been trying. I got back into them today, but I'm like so short of breath. It's so hard. Like I'll do like 5 and I'm out of breath. Sucks. Absolutely sucks. Let's see. Did you watch Jimmy Dore's take on Crystal Ball and the RFK interview? Love the show, thanks. I did not watch that. I might have to check that out sometime. For sure. Hit Reich. Sheeny Bean, are you trying to be racist? Are you? Oh, hit Reich. Hit the right button. It's so true, though. It is, she's not wrong. She's not wrong. Everyone hit the like button. That's actually my natural voice. I mean, ask TJ, right? He's on the phone with me privately. He assistant and all that.
Yeah,
That's how I talk in private, right? This on public is an accent. Yeah. Hello, TJ. We need to make the money. So true. So true. Alex says, tell TJ that peanuts will help him with his voice.
Yep. It's peanut jokes all night long. It's always peanut jokes. Always peanut jokes with them.
Who in chat? Who's this guy in chat that came sabotaging you with the peanut allergy? Because
that was Josh.
Yeah, Josh. Now everyone's gonna have it out for you. Oh, looks, that's the guy who's allergic to peanuts.
I know, that's gonna be my thing.
Real.
It's gonna be my thing now.
Mr. Easy says, hit like and subscribe. Absolutely. All right, chat. Well, let me see. Actually, I'll go till 9:25. So any last super chats you guys want to send in, But yeah, real TJ, any thoughts? Any thoughts on the news?
Yeah, one thing, I think the Republican ad that we put out the other day was pretty bad about spending.
I
People
didn't
don't
see
want to
it.
hear
I
about
didn't see it.
spending right
Describe
now.
it.
Yeah, so it's basically you have the backdrop of Democrats are spending your money in Washington, and it's just talking about they want to raise the debt ceiling, more spending, more spending, more spending, and that's just not what the people want to hear right now. The people want to hear about what's going on in schools. The people want to hear about the social issues right now because we're winning on those issues. Transgenderism is a winning issue. All of these social issues are winning for us.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a way to approach the inflation and the way the economy is like hitting our pockets, which I think is real for a lot of working people. But I think the problem with that Republicans very often have is they don't really make it relatable, right? Like, explain the debt ceiling to your average American. They don't know what that means. Yeah, they hear that the government is spending money, but but if you really relate to it, okay, this is the reason why inflation is high. This is the reason why you can't afford a home. This is the reason you can't afford a car. If you make a strong correlation explaining that, and then this is the Democrats' fault, I think that can be effective. It's not everything. Like you said, you need the social issues to really drive people. But I think, yeah, Republicans very often, debt ceiling. What does that mean to most people? Like, we know what it means, but what do most average voters actually know about debt, or do they really process the idea of the government spending money? I don't think so. I think they have to make their messaging more relatable to the average person, which, you know who did a good job of that when he was campaigning was Glenn Youngkin. He sort of turned this thing about the grocery tax into being a very kitchen table issue that I think a lot of people are like, hey, that's a good idea. But yeah, it is true. It is true. Very often they don't understand how to make the fiscal stuff relatable. So it's just, they're spending so much money. Okay, who cares? What does it mean to me? Well, it actually means a lot, right? But if they don't make it relatable, which they never do, then, it's hard to explain it.
Yeah, because when you break it down by wages, like your wage was supposed to go up by this much, but it only went up by this much nominally. If you get people to see that, get people to see what the economy is doing, long term, people are going to see, okay, this is a winning issue. But when you just say, this is why you're a lot of money, they don't understand.
Yeah. Mr. EZ says TJ looks like Neo from The Matrix. Tell him his allergy isn't real. This is true. You can't be Neo from The Matrix and then literally, have allergies. Okay? Just get over it. Just get over bro, you're biologically allergic to something. Just do more push-ups. So true.
I know.
Let me see. Joshua says, ask TJ if the kids are enjoying the show. Are the kids enjoying the show?
The kids are enjoying the show.
I don't know what that means. But thank you very much.
Yeah, it's a joke between Josh and I.
A lot of inside jokes going on here.
I know. I don't know what they're bringing out today.
So true. All right, chat. Well, I think we're about good here. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. Hopefully next time we have a guest, it actually works. He doesn't come in midstream and everyone is confused. But thank you for coming on, TJ. All right.
Of course.
Do you even have social media? I don't think you do. Huh?
I do not. No, I'm off the grid.
Yeah, he's totally off the grid. We found this guy in a ditch somewhere. Okay, this is he literally crawled out. He literally crawled out. And was like, do you want can I be your unpaid assistant? That's literally what happened. Okay. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you to everyone who tuned in tonight. Be sure to leave a like before you go. Let's get to 100 likes before we go. And all right, we will see you live tomorrow night for another episode of the Vince Dow Show here at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And until then, ladies and gentlemen, alpha moves only. God bless and peace. Millhouse says he wants 1 more hour. Should we do a members block? Or should we just call it a night? I don't know. That's a good question. We might do a members block, okay? Stick back in 10 minutes. Members only, though. Members only, though. So become a member if you want to join us. All right. See you guys later. Peace. All right.